we're giving you another installment of College Planning Untangled. Bobby, how are you doing?
I'm doing just great. It's a little rainy. We needed some rain, so it's nice outside right now.
It is, I know it's fall, right? The
Mhm.
temperatures are coming down, so that's going to be really nice. I think everybody's ready.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So today, what we wanted to talk about are areas that you want to consider when you're choosing a college. And today, it's really about support services.
Absolutely. Yeah, we need to think about how many students, we've discussed this so many times, how many students go to college and then feel alienated or just don't feel like they're at the right place or don't make friends, and they feel like it's so much more challenging than high school was. They don't know how to schedule, how to plan their homework, all that, and then they end up needing to take another year or transfer or something like that. That can really affect things. And so you need to check out what kind of support is there for students, for sure.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Bobby, this is kind of the section that I think is you don't know that you're going to need it till you need it. And
Right.
and it's going to be one of the toughest ones to kind of keep track of, I feel like, because
Mhm.
it'll crop up at any time. So, the types of things that we're talking about is tutoring, career guidance, mental health. I'm sure as we talk more, will kind of crop up, but these are the kind of the big three. And so let's
Mhm.
start with tutoring. I mean, I know
Yeah.
a lot of the colleges offer kids tutoring today, which is really pretty amazing. I mean, I know when we were touring colleges, they even talked about if you get your paper in
Mhm.
24 hours in advance, they will take a look at it and help you basically with any problems that you have with your paper.
Oh,
And
that's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, and they're saying it's probably a grade point difference
Mhm.
if you go through the tutoring center.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's just what a lot of people don't realize is they think, oh, college is just sink or swim and figure it all out on your own. And that there is free tutoring available for pretty much every subject. Like if you just go to the department and say, I want help, there are so many things you can get. And it's funny, this thing, like you have to get your paper done 24 hours in advance. Well, I mean, to get that benefit, to get someone to look at it, that's something that might motivate you to actually finish your paper 24 hours in advance. I think a lot of us remember, doing papers that were due, at 2 a.m. the night before. And, that's just a stressful way to go through things. And if you knew, okay, if I just plan ahead, I can get this free help, it's amazing. And so, yeah, you should just ask about that and ask whether it's something that the school takes seriously. Like if you're, especially, once you get to go on a tour and talk to, like if your tour guide is a student, you just ask them about that and say, hey, do you know any students who go to the tutoring center? What's it like? And if they're like, oh, yeah, everybody uses it, it's amazing, that's a good sign, right?
Absolutely. And I would tell you too, Bobby, that ask this question not only when you're touring the school, but
Mhm.
write this one down, keep it for when you start at school.
Right.
You remember,
Yeah.
yeah, that you remember this stuff's available to you because it's easy to lose sight of it. And I'll tell you what, if you can get an extra grade, like one higher grade on a paper, this is a no-brainer.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Oh, there's no question.
yeah, and to your point, I mean, we always have to remember colleges are a business
Mhm.
and they want you to do well. They have these services available for you so that you do take advantage of them, but you need to take advantage of them.
Absolutely. Yeah. When it comes down to it, colleges want you to graduate because they want to get your tuition money, but they not just that, they want you to go and be successful in business and become one of those alumni who donates lots of money to the school. That's what they want. Right. So, of course, they will do anything they can to help you succeed. They're not against you. Right. It's not a battle against the school.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about career guidance.
Mhm.
This is near and dear to my heart, obviously, because I help students figure out a career
Yeah.
path, preferably before they get into college, but absolutely for the kids they get into college and still are having questions about that.
Mhm.
I love to help. I love that our colleges have career guidance centers.
Mhm.
So let's make sure that we're taking advantage of that as well, because we know if you have a career path in mind, you're going to do better in school because you understand what the end goal is. You're going to take advantage of what your school has to offer. And really, I think have an appreciation for your education. Um, But it's a big deal to be able to walk out of college and already have a job placement or,
Oh, absolutely.
what you want to do.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is, I mean, back, again, the mistakes we all made when we were in college. I mean, I think I never thought about the career center until I was applying for jobs my senior year, right? And so I probably missed out on a lot of different things that they offer because I never thought about it until I was a senior. For instance, if you go in as a freshman or sophomore and you say, okay, here's what my major is, tell me about the careers, and then who can you get me in contact with? We've talked about this before, but if they can find you someone to meet with who's actually practicing that career, that can help you decide, not just do I want this career, but what pathways in this career? Do I want to work at a large company or a small company or regional place or national place, right? And they might even have, applications for internships or, shadowing or whatever things you could go in even for a week and just visit a company and something like that. And that's how you could figure out and zero in on actually what you want to do. I mean, that would be so valuable.
It is, and I'll tell you the another good question to ask, especially in relation to career guidance, is what companies is or are, I'm not sure which word to use, but is that college affiliated with, so I'll give you an easy one,
Mhm.
Arkansas, the Walton family, Walmart,
Sure.
they're getting kids hooked up within that company and doing internships. So that's a big piece of
Yeah.
this as well, is who are you hooked up with so that you have an idea if they can help you out as far as internships and jobs.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, absolutely. Right. And those are just questions to ask and just a thing to do just immediately when you get there. Just go check it out. Right. Start talking to them, find out what they offer.
Okay, and then the last one we'll talk about is mental health. This is another one that we've got, gosh, 25% of students today are on some type of medication for
Hmm.
anxiety, mental health. So that's a big number right there. But we've got another 50% that are overwhelmed, and this anxiety sets in when you go to college.
Hmm.
So everybody wants to believe, not my kid. My gosh, they were
Right.
on the football team. They've had the car. They've got the girlfriend. They've got good grades, all the good stuff. So it's never at the forefront of your mind that it could happen. So
Hmm.
I would just tell you it can. I hear stories of it every day.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Check into this one and know what the resources are, because it's really tough being 2 hours, 3 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours away from your kiddo and they're calling you very upset. So
Hmm.
at least you have a
Hmm.
place to send them, right? And resources.
Absolutely. And I think that's where, like, as strange as it may sound, I mean, if you're going on a college tour, go see where that building is and maybe even ask them that question and say, okay, what are the resources? And definitely the tour guide will tell you, like, okay, yeah, people go here and they have these resources. And that's important so that when you're there, because you don't know when you're going to need that, and knowing, okay, it's over there and here are the services they provide. Absolutely do that. And there's another piece too, which is, you know, I think of so many of my students who have ADHD, ADD,
Mhm.
dyslexia, things like that. And so in high school, you get diagnosed. You have a 504 plan, which is where you get accommodations for taking tests in school and all that. And a lot of people may not realize that that continues in college as well, and that is part of these offices as well, which is technically the disabilities office or whatever would administer all these things, right? But if you had accommodations for testing in high school, you likely can get them in college as well. And you need to go there and talk to them. And it's amazing, like at the college level, how much more professional it is and institutional, like they have people who, for students, for instance, who are deaf or hard of hearing, they have people who will sit next to you and type the notes for the lecture, of what they're hearing, and then you can watch and things like that. There's all sorts of things. And so be aware that all of that stuff exists at the college level too. And that falls into this category of services that they provide. And those, I mean, are legally required to be provided. So it's just a matter of finding out, do they do a good job of, of making it very easy to access those legally available services?
Right. And I'll tell you, what I've seen and heard on most campuses are especially the mental health offices, because I know
Mhm.
that there still feels like there's a stigma around this, which
Right.
is crazy with all the people that are taking advantage of some of these resources, but they typically are kind of in a little bit more obscure part of the campus.
Mhm.
So it
Yeah.
can feel weird walking in and all that, all the things that
Yeah,
go on in the
sure, right. It's not gonna be right next to the dining hall or whatever, right?
No, no.
Yeah, so
But
that it is something you can access without, worrying about that sort of thing, yeah.
yeah, but I love, and I think it's worth repeating your comment about visit the building while you're,
Mhm.
touring the campus, because there's a good chance that
Mhm.
you might need to go to that building.
Absolutely. I mean, if I could if I could go back if I were going back through it again, I mean, I can think of some times when when it would have helped me to go visit that building and I didn't. So,
Bobby, I hear you, and I got to tell you, I went to the University of Iowa. It was stinking cold up there, and in March and April and May, when it's still dark and there's no,
mhm.
I think there was probably a lot of kids that probably should have ended up in that building just to get that
Yeah.
help. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and it's just there and it's free and that's I think kind of the tying all this together is people don't realize the enormous volume of free services that the college will provide to make your life there better, and they just don't do it. I didn't do it, right? And or I didn't do it much, but yeah, go in. Like if you're having trouble with the class, go in. There's probably a day every week where there are free tutors, if not every day. You can just walk in and they're just upperclassmen who are just sitting there volunteering their time because they like doing it, and they'll explain things to you. They might be grad students. It's just like, why would you not, if you're having trouble in a class, go in and like have someone explain stuff to you? Like, I mean, I remember I had a class that I was completely lost in microeconomics. I was utterly lost and I had no idea what was going on. And so I just like sort of gave up and, like it, ended up not getting a very good grade because, and I could have gone and I didn't. It's ridiculous. So yeah, this is so important.
Yeah. I've lived that life as well, Bobby. I hear you, and you're right. And we've talked about too. It's just the right thing to do either way is to reach out to your professor and
Mhm.
touch base and let them know you're struggling and try to get that help. So,
Absolutely.
all right. Thanks a lot, Bobby, and we'll see you.
Absolutely. That's great.